Hello all, welcome to this session. In this session, I'm going to answer one of the Java interview questions. That is, write a Java program to remove the spaces before and after the given string text. So in Java, in order to remove the spaces that are there before the string text and after the string text, which are generally called as leading spaces and trailing spaces, okay? The spaces that will come before the string text are called as leading spaces. The spaces that will come after the string text are called as trailing spaces. In Java, in order to remove the spaces that are coming before and after the string text, that is leading and trailing spaces, we have to use one of the predefined methods of the string class known as trim method. Okay, there is a method known as trim, which belong to the predefined class in Java known as string class, using which we can remove this leading and trailing spaces, that is spaces that are there before the string text and after the string text. Let me practically demonstrate this right now. For that, I'll switch to Eclipse IDE and create a new class. Okay, I'll create a new class. I'll just name this class as class 34. Let's say with main method, I'm going to create class 34 will be created some random name. And inside that main method, I would like to intake the string text from the user itself, whether it will come with leading spaces, trailing spaces, doesn't matter. The user need to input the string text. Okay. For that, I'll create an object for the scanner class. Scanner is equal to new scanner. Scanner is equal to new scanner. Now control shift O. Then here inside the constructor, write down system.in. Okay. After that, write down system.out.println. I'll here write down enter any string text. Okay. Enter any string text, I'll say. Using this particular text printed in the output console, user will try to enter some text that we would like to intake into our program with the help of this next line method. Okay. Next line method, which will collect the input given by the string input given by the user. String user input. Okay. User input. This user input string may contain some leading spaces or trailing spaces, whatever it may be. If you want to remove that leading and trailing spaces, we have to use a trim method. So before removing the leading and trailing spaces as it is, whatever the user has originally inputted that input, right, the string format, that I would like to print it out. Okay. Here I'll write user input. This is the original one. Okay. Then after removing the leading and trailing, whatever the user input is coming, if that contains some leading or trailing spaces, whether it contain or not, we simply want to trim that case. Okay. Trim means if this particular user input has some leading and trailing spaces, that will be removed from the string text. Okay. And the trim method will return you the string. So string uh, final input. Okay. After trimming the input, right, final input or final text, let's say. So I'll print out the final text after trimming the leading and trailing spaces. Okay, final text. So let's run the code. And before I run the code here, the scanner object is already giving me a warning message. Resource leak scanner is never closed. Try to close that. Scanner dot close, you say. That's it. Now run the code and observe that it allows the user to enter any string text. For example, if the user enters some string text with some leading spaces, Arun space, Motori, space, I'm giving my name. Here, before the string text, some leading spaces are there. After the string text, some trailing spaces are there. In between the text also, some spaces are there. But here, the trim method that I am using will only remove the spaces that are coming before and after. That is, leading spaces will be removed and trailing spaces will be removed. In between spaces will not be removed, guys. So when I press enter here, okay, when I press enter here, before removing the leading and trailing spaces, you see, I printed the user input as it is. You see, without the leading and trailing spaces got removed, the string text got printed. Now here in the next case, after I trim that final text, when I print out, you see, the leading and trailing spaces got removed. There are no leading and trailing spaces. This is what the trim method is used for. Okay, the answer for this question is the trim method, guys. Write a Java program to remove the spaces before and after the given string text. If in case the user inputs the text with some leading and trailing spaces, that leading and trailing spaces can be trimmed by this trim method. Okay, using which method of predefined class in Java, string class in Java, we can trim the leading and remove the leading and trailing spaces, trim method. Okay, that's the thing. So why trim method is really required in, you say programmatically it looks like this, but what is the real purpose? Let's understand the pain point of the developers, guys. Let's understand the pain point of developers where, you know, you go to this particular any of the application, assume that why developers in real time have to use this trim method to remove the leading and trailing spaces, I'll tell you. I'll take you to directly to one page, that is register account page. Here, while creating an account, user can create an account with like this. Is this the correct approach? Yes, it will accept. Okay, you can create an account like this, not a problem. Leading and trailing spaces, along with that, I can create an account. I'll give some, some random thing and then email address, and I'll give some 1 2 3 4 5 or something. Okay. Telephone number 67890. Here 1 2 3 4 5 password I am giving just for the sake 1 2 3 4 5 and select this, select yes, and click on continue button. Here the first name and last name, if you observe, I'm entering this first name and last name with leading and trailing spaces. But if the application will not trim this first name and last name fields and create the account, you see the account got created, that's okay. It's okay to the create account when the user enters the name with some leading and trailing spaces, it's okay to create the account. But ultimately, if you go to my account and here edit your account, okay, here leading and trailing spaces are not trimmed by this application. This is a defect in this application, guys. The application has a defect where developer has not trimmed the string text that are received into this first name fields and last name fields along with the same spaces, leading and trailing spaces. The account got created. This is not a correct approach. There is a defect in this application. Okay, so what the developers would have done, once they collect this kind of input from the user, they would have trimmed this input that is being entered into the first name field while creating an account. And because of that, it should be like this, guys. Okay, after trimming, right, you should not have any leading or trailing spaces. The account should be created without leading and trailing spaces. For that reasons only, in real time, we have to use the trim method, guys. But here the application has a defect. I just showed you practically where you will have the actual advantage of using the trim method in real applications when developers are writing this Java code for building some functionality, backend functionality. Whatever the input that user is entering into the text fields, whatever it is, it should get trimmed. Okay, so developers have to write the trim method as part of the best practices. Whether the user will enter the text with the trims, without leading, or with leading or trailing spaces, doesn't matter. It has to trim it. Okay, if I don't give the leading spaces, no problem is there. There's any harm in that? You see, before Arun Moto is there, after Arun Moto is there, because there are no leading and trailing, nothing can be trimmed. But if the user, if in case the user enters some leading or trailing spaces while entering the text, for example, leading space give, okay, it should not contain the leading space, or the developer or the user may, while entering the text into that, right, may give some trailing spaces. You see here, trailing space is there. After trimming, trailing space is going off. Okay, so that's the use of the trim method, guys. To remove the spaces before and after the given string text, we have to use trim method. So with practical demonstration, I've answered this question for you. So for anyone who want to take, who want to practice this program and who want this particular code that I have written for you in this session, okay, you can take a screenshot, guys. I'll just wait for a while. Hope you guys have taken the screenshot for this. So now that's all for this session, guys, with practical demonstration. I've answered this question. The simple and straightforward answer for this question is by using the trim predefined method of the string predefined class, we can remove the leading and trailing spaces with practical demonstration and demonstrated. So that's all for this session. Thank you. Bye-bye.